Welcome to Coaching in Session,
where limits end and growth begins.
Hosted by Michael Rearden.
This is your space to challenge the ordinary,
unlock your potential,
and step boldly into your next chapter.
Your mindset journey continues.
This is true across the board when it comes to if you are in the right place or the wrong place. It doesn't matter if you're a person or if you're a plant or an animal. It doesn't matter. If you're not in the right place, you won't thrive. Now, just think of maybe a shark out of water on the beach. He's not going to live. A whale, the same thing. He's not going to live. We think of a person who is in the wrong environment. Let's use weather as the example. If you're in Antarctica, you're going to have a very hard time living there. If you are someplace super hot, like a volcano, you're going to burn up. We can look at now the aspect of plants, right? Just being in a desert with no water, and you are a plant that needs a lot of water, not like a cactus or something along those lines. You are like, a wildflower, something like that, or a cucumber plant. You need a lot of water for that. Now, all of this is to say is that there are going to be different places that we could be planted. Whether we are born in a place, for example, I was born in Connecticut, and I was there for a while. It was very nice. I liked the weather. I liked the people, but I didn't know that I liked the weather and I liked the people until I really had to pay attention to that. Because the moment I moved, I didn't miss the weather and I didn't miss the people. So what is it about our environment that keeps us there? Perhaps our friends. We associate with them because maybe when we're younger, if we think of it as like a young child, we would say they're good friends with us because they play with us, they share their crayons with us, they're nice to us, etc. But as adults, friendship is very different, right? Who do we call friends? People who borrow our money, people who come over and they drink our drinks, people who will bother us in the middle of the night when we're trying to sleep. I mean, some people call those people friends. Some people might call them hindrances or annoyances or liabilities. But then again, everyone has their own definition to the label of friendship or their environment. Because some people might say their environment is exactly what they need. However, if I were to put you in an environment that would be more conducive to the goals that you're trying to reach, would you oppose it? Would you say that you wouldn't give up what you have currently that is going to fulfill you more eternally and also have future benefits than your current self and the ramifications if you follow in the same footsteps that you will continually follow in if you don't have that epiphany, that eye-opening experience? Now, I say all this to give the segue to what is our best place to be. I can say that we can be in a public school, we could be in a private school, we can be at Google or Apple or in a good cultured business. We could be making quite a bit of money as a manager or CEO of a top Fortune 500 company, and we can say that we're in a good spot. But then again, that environment there, how many people have heart attacks and strokes and severe anxiety and stress and depression? You would think that they have the perfect life, but they don't. They are also struggling with many of the world's problems. Now, there is an aspect to money. We're going to get into that in just a minute because it's going to be one of the examples that I'm going to be sharing with you on how your environment is either expanding you or shrinking you. And that is our blog today that we're going to be talking about, because our environment is going to either bring us closer to who we were always destined to be, or is going to either keep us stagnant, stuck, or is going to bring us lower than what we are right now. Now, I can begin this so many ways, but I think I want to begin it with how people come into success. Something that has been on my mind for quite a long time. Because when you become successful, when you become someone that is noteworthy, where your name is now known, people recognize you, you're like, okay, maybe now I'm somewhat of a big shot. Well, this is not to say that we have to have an ego or we can't be starstruck or ride that train of stardom. This is not to say that. This is to say that when you become successful, there are going to be many people that have been in your life that are going to look at you in a different way. They're going to either look at you saying, wow, look at you, Mr. Popular. Look at you, Mrs. Boss Babe, Mrs. CEO. All right. Big money now. Big money, right? Rolex, right? Rolly. I'm going to call you Rolly, right? And, Rolls Royce, Rolex. And we just think of this aspect of how people look at you. They might say, oh, you have some money. I'm good for it, right? They borrowed money now. They're not paying you back. And we can go down that road of how you should operate there. But some of the people who have reached great successes, and I just think of two rappers, or one rapper, one comedian. And we can even look at other people like Shaquille O'Neal. We can look at other people. But I think just using a couple of examples is enough. Where Snoop Dogg said it, I believe, the best. He says, you can't bring everybody with you. And I cannot unhear that from him because it's so true. When I moved from Connecticut, I could have brought all my homies. I could have brought all those people that I was with that was riding with me, that were ride or die people, right? But I knew if I brought all of that weight with me, it would have stopped me from expanding the way I wanted to expand. Because there's that African proverb, if you want to move fast, you move alone. If you want to go far, then you go together, right? So fast alone, far together. Now, I knew that I wanted to move fast because I had to learn many different things. I had to get used to a new environment. I had to acclimate. I had to adjust my mindset. And from there, I could do the work to figure out which environment I want to be in. Kevin Hart even says that even if you learn how to make money or if you learn how to be successful, you know how to do it. But they don't. They didn't want to go on that journey. They didn't want to go on that, that process of failure to reach that success. So they're just riding on the coattails. And these same people are going to be the ones that are going to say, oh man, you have changed. Man, you used to be cool, right? Oh man, you were someone I could rely on. Everyone can see their situation clear as day. But when it comes to looking at someone else's situation, it becomes a challenge. Now, of course, I get paid to look at people's situations, but of course, you get a consultation with us. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. And I look at your situation, we talk about it. But the reality is, for the majority of people in your life, they got their own thing going. They got their own problems. They got their own concerns. They have their own ups and downs. Their own highs and lows, and you are just a part of that journey with them. Maybe for a moment, maybe for a lifetime. We don't know the life expectancy for a friend or for an environment that we're in, because who's to say that the company that you're working for right now won't go under tomorrow, or won't get bought out by a bigger company and then just be sold off for parts. I mean, we can fire anyone very easily if you're a boss or a CEO, things along those lines. Because in some rights, you might think that it's a compliment. Oh, you're a CEO now. Oh, you're Mr. Fancy. Oh, you're Mr. Moneybags. Oh, you're Miss Boss Babe. We think of it as, oh yeah, I'm this persona, I'm this identity. But it is so far from the truth. Many people who have put in the effort to get there and to attain this lifestyle and this environment, they had to put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. They had to go through many failures and many challenges. And for them, it wasn't an easy task, because everyone will envy you when you are successful, but they won't envy the journey that you had to go on. They won't envy your struggle. They just envy the results that you attained. But they don't see what you had to go through to get those results. And this is why I say that you can't bring everybody with you. And this is why I say your environment is going to either be strangling you or they're going to be uplifting you. Now, years ago, when I first started the business, I talked about this idea of how you can be an ember. And an ember is basically like a small flame or like a charcoal that is hot that can create a flame if it has the right conditions. And then you have someone who's basically like that poison aspect, right? They're just a toxic person. Now, there is one aspect also, the anchor. Now, the anchor is going to be the people who keep you stuck, right? Maybe even keep you sinking, right? The toxic people are going to keep you in that loop, right? You get better, you get sick. You get better, you get sick. You get a little headway, you lose it. So it's always like that push and pull. It's like you're on the yo-yo. But yet when you're an ember, right, the possibilities are there, right? We can start the flame, we can cook, we can create something versus we're just dying out, right? We're not getting doused by anything. And many people in life, this is what's happening. They find a friend group at some age point, whether it be their teenagers or their college years, and they stay friends with these individuals for quite some time. Now, today, our world's a little bit different because that was the remedy or that was the equation for how people found friends of the old. Today, we have so many chat rooms, we have social media platforms, we have meetups, we have so many options where people can meet like-minded individuals. Now, the issue with a like-minded individual is that we don't necessarily know their true mindset because they can have like mindsets. But if you have a mindset that's going to be fixated on a certain thing for a certain period of time, who's to say that they won't get tired of doing that? It's the same thing as if you might love Italian food, but if you eat Italian food every single day, could you say that you still love it? Or would it just be, this is just something I eat every single day, right? What would be that determining factor there? Some people might say that they're in a good environment right now. Their friends are helpful and that they love them and their family loves them. But then again, ask them a simple question. If I bought a CD from somebody because I wanted to support them, and I found out that my skill was also in music, and I got them a CD to purchase, and I said, hey, I have my new CD. If you wouldn't mind purchasing it, that would be great. They go, oh yeah, I'll get to it, right? Send me the link. And they never purchased the CD. You are the one who's supportive. You are the one who wants to uplift the people around you. But then the people around you don't want to uplift you as well, because there are very few people in the world who want you to be better than them. Your mom probably wants you to be better than her. Your dad wants you to be better than him. Maybe some of your siblings, if you don't have like a negative sibling rivalry going on. We could have maybe like a boss wanting people to be better than them because it helps that company if they have more than one CEO, essentially, where there's two people who are looking at the company as how can I make this the best company ever versus just CEOs doing it. And then you have a bunch of peons underneath them that are all waiting for Friday and hating and dreading Monday. This is all the realism of what the world is right now. Now, when I talk about the environment is either expanding you or shrinking you in this article, I'm talking about how oftentimes many people, they can be in situations where they might not be the best for them, right? The environment for them. Because we have to understand our environment is going to influence us. This is why when, as a parent, you want to make sure your child has the best friends. As they're growing up, you want to make sure that they have the best friend. What makes a good friend, right? What makes a good child? Well, you have to look at the parents. You have to look at their upbringing. You have to look at their talk. You have to look at their levels of discipline, their character, their integrity, all of these things, right? It was so funny, right? Someone dropped a wallet the other day and it had a couple of dollars in it. And I just picked up the wallet. I know where the wallet was going. I knew who the wallet belonged to. And I gave them the wallet, right? And it's so funny. You could just see their eyes like, oh my God, thank you so much. And I'm just thinking in my mind, like, yeah, sure, right? Like, you don't have to be that surprised or that worried or that relieved. Like, yeah, you got your wallet. You know, it was expected from me or of me to do that by myself. And I hope from that individual, right? Because I hold myself to a high level of integrity. I'm not taking nothing from anybody that I didn't earn. If I didn't earn it, I don't want it. I do not want anything of it. I don't care what it is. If it's an inheritance, if it's whatever, I don't want it. I want to earn it. Why? Why do I want to earn something? Because I understand that if I don't, I'm going to be like that man who's given a fish. And it's the same idea. You can give a man a fish and you will feed him for a day, or you could teach a man to fish and you'll feed him for a lifetime. Now, when someone asked me, they was like, Michael, what can I do for you? I said, I want to be connected with the people that you're connected with. I want to know what you know. I want to be in the same rooms where everyone is on a higher frequency. No one is looking at someone to step on or someone to belittle. We're all looking to how we can work with one another. How can we be of service to people, right? That humility aspect. And it's just so funny because you think, right, karma is always going to come back to you. And oftentimes it does. I am a big proponent or a big guy on favors. I will do favors for people and not expect anything from anybody. I don't need it. But at the same time, if I ever needed something, I always ask, would they reciprocate the same feelings, the same selflessness that I have for them? Now, sometimes you get an eye-opening experience because you put it to the test. Maybe you do something along the lines of you're moving, and moving can be an ordeal. So you basically ask a couple buddies. You say, I'm moving Saturday. I need some guys. At the end of it, there'll be some pizza and beer for you guys. Well, on moving day, you invited 5 people to come help you move, and only 1 or maybe even 2 people showed up. Those 2 people hold close to you. Now, of course, maybe the other 3 people had a valid reason, right? They got in a car accident, someone died, they had work. We can say all of these are valid excuses, right? But let's just hypothetically say that there was no excuse. They just didn't want to go. Or maybe they just didn't even show up, even though they committed to showing up. This idea where if we stay in that friendship or in that environment long term, those same people, when we need them the most, they're not going to be there. And so we must recognize that the people who are there at our lowest, right? Can you be there when we have nothing? Would you sit on the floor with us? Would you sleep in a tent with us under a bridge, right? Would you go into the garbage can with us and eat? And I'm not saying this is all nasty stuff, right? But this is just this idea. Everyone's ride or die until it's time to ride, right? They have many different ways we can put this, right? There was a movie that talked about this idea where it's like, hey, we're going to do something dangerous. We're going to do something illegal. And I need to know that you got my back. And the guy just simply says, whose car are we taking? That's it. That's all he said, right? Like, whose car are we taking? That's how you know you got a ride or die person. Now, there are going to be times when there are seasons for people, right? Where there's ride or die. And then there's going to be a tear in the friendship, the tear in the environment, or whatever happens. There's something that goes on and it creates a problem because y'all can be best friends for 10, 15, 20 years. And then just something along the way, there's a kink in the wheel. And one person or both people refuse to make amends or to fix it. Maybe one person's fixated on their own beliefs and itinerary, and then the other person is in their emotions and their feelings, because mindset is going to dictate how you would like to be in your day or how you would like to feel in your day and how you would like other people to feel about you. And if someone is doing wrong by you, then your mindset is going to say, then possibly this person is no good for me. Now, what people do in these environments, they basically say, it happened before, it'll happen again, but they're just this type of person. So they're making excuses for these people because they would rather be together than to be alone or to be in a wrong relationship. And this happens in many relationships as well. 2 people get together that are not suitable to be together, and they stay together just for staying together's sake. I think it's very interesting how evolution has played a role in this idea of, at one point, we were with the strongest, most suitable people, and now we're only with like-minded people or people who make us feel comfortable. Now, if we all know what comfort is, it's a death sentence. We don't want to be in an environment where it is comfortable as people. Now, if you're a plant, of course you want to be in an environment that's comfortable. You want to have enough water, enough sunlight, all that. But you don't necessarily want to have to worry about all of the hurts and all of the challenges and all the struggles that you might have to partake in, or maybe down the future. For example, we have some wild cucumbers growing in the backyard because my wife, she just took all of these cucumbers that were going bad that she wanted to seed, and she just got lazy and she didn't want to seed them. So she goes, I'm just going to put them all in the back. And she put them in this one pot. As the year went on, nothing happened with the first batch. But this year, right, a year later, the seeds started to sprout. And now we have this huge cucumber plant that's in the back. But it's in the back corner, and I don't go over there often. Possibly because there could be snakes or mosquitoes. It's just not accessible to where I go on a daily basis. And we know that you're going to traverse a daily routine or daily route. So if you have something out of the way, you're more unlikely to do it. For example, if you want to play guitar, you need to figure out your routine to how you operate when you get home from work, as an example, and make sure your guitar is there. So if you are a person who comes home and you watch Netflix, as an example, you want to remove the remote and put your guitar where the remote would be. Of course, it might not fit on the stand or anything, so you get a music stand or guitar stand, and that's where you put the guitar. So as you reach for the remote, you go, the remote's not there. Let me just pick up this guitar. It just makes your life easy, right? If you are a person who's determined to walk across the room and get the remote, remove the batteries from the remote and put those in a separate room. So now you have to do two things in order to get this remote. You have to get up, go to the location, then you have to go from that location to the batteries, and then you can go back to your spot. Now, you might, of course, get lazy enough, say, I'm not going to do that again. And then you just leave the guitar in the same spot and you put the guitar, and then you put the remote in a better spot. The environment was still the same, right? Your living room or your bedroom or whatever. You were just giving yourself outlets, one for growth and prosperity and one for being stuck and stagnant. Now, when we put this into reflection to our friends, our cucumber plant in the back, that route, right, we can go on it every single day. Sometimes doing something for a long time is going to be what we call discipline. And sometimes doing something for a long time that we are used to can be considered comfort. It could be considered stagnancy, right? We're just doing something, but we have to look at the final thing, right? What is the result? What are we looking to do, right? The idea is we want to expand. We want to expose ourselves to a better potential. We want to get away from all of the chaos, all of the dysfunction, all of the ill attempts for trying something and failing, because the world is already hard enough. We don't need to make our journey any more difficult, especially the people around us. Because if you have people around you that are just dysfunctional, and they're over here basically saying, oh, you will never be able to do that. Why even bother wasting your time? You tried that before. You didn't succeed. Just come on and have some beer with me. All right. Come on and have some cake. No, I don't want any cake because I'm trying to fit into my wedding dress or my wedding suit or whatever. Oh, come on, man. Right. So it's like you have these people who are a detriment rather than an asset. Someone who's not or no longer lifting you up, because maybe at one point they did. Maybe at one point they were really gung-ho about success, just like you. And maybe somewhere they slipped. And maybe you have like some empathy for them. And you're just like, yeah, I don't want to sacrifice this person. I don't want to leave them. I don't want to neglect them. I planted the seed. I want to water the plant as well. Now, this is to say, going back to that original aspect, to what Snoop said, what Kevin Hart said, they said you can't bring everybody with you. And not everyone who's with you is down for the long term. Because the moment they stop getting a benefit from you, they're going to stop even wanting you. Growing up, we got for high school, we got $20 a week for our food. And it costs anywhere between $4 and $8 to get some food for the day at school. We had 20. So if I ate good for 2 days, I only had a couple of dollars for the rest of the week. So there were some days you had to get some French fries for like $1.50 or $3, whatever it was. Get a bag of potato chips and something to drink. Sometimes you just starved and you just waited until you got home to eat some food. Now, there was always people who didn't have money, or they had money, they just didn't want to use their own money, right? They wanted to use someone else's money. This happens quite a bit. So they will ask for $1, they'll ask for a handout, they'll ask for donation. And I remember I kept track of whoever I gave money to because I had a giving spirit, right? And you have to learn as well, being young and understanding about your environment, about your friends. Because as much as we would like to say there are friends for life and there was ride or die and I want to keep you guys friends forever and I'll do whatever it takes. No. I wasn't that type of person, right? So I just was very business orientated, right? I'm like a bank. I don't care, right? I had money. I worked. So I would give people $5 or $10 credit, whatever for me, right? $5 or $10. And once someone reached the threshold that I knew that they were not good for or whatever, I just basically said, I know who you are, right? So I was able to cut people off very quickly with money, right? But we need to be able to do that in all aspects of our life, not just with money, but our friendships, our emotions, our dreams and our goals and stuff like that. Like, who do we preach that to has to become paramount. Because if we say to the wrong person, that person can cause that dream, that idea to be delayed years, if not forever. So we have to be cautious in who we are around. And that is why our environment is so important. And that is why this article here, where I'm talking about how your environment is either expanding you or shrinking you, is a must read. Now, in this article, we talk about many different aspects of how your friends or the people around you and your environments can be dysfunctional, from your workplace, your friends, to maybe even your relationship with your partner. All of this is to say that if you want growth in your life, you need to look at so many different factors, so many different facets. Because if we just stay in one spot and we just say, it's just this way, that's just the way it is, we're just shrinking ourselves to stay there. Because I know some of the most ambitious people in the world who are afraid to dream or who are afraid to change and to move because they'll be in a different environment. They'll be in a different walk of life and they don't want to leave their friends or they don't want to leave their comfort zone. And rightfully so. The comfort zone is comfortable. It's nice. It's cozy. But it's also a jail cell. It's a grave site for many of the dreams and many of the ambitions many people have in their life. So you have to ask yourself, are you someone who wants to expand from their current place today? And if you do, we have to do the work right now to figure out who are the people in our life that are shrinking us, who are stopping us, who are being anchors, who are basically not building us up. That environment is toxic. So we need to do our work. We need to do our due diligence to make it easier for us to receive the support that we need, or to make sure that we're showing up every single day. If you have somebody on your team who's not playing their part, you need to think once, twice, 3 times maybe, and you have to make a choice. And that choice might be the hardest thing you will ever have to make in your life. Now, sometimes it could be a conversation. Sometimes you can have a conversation with somebody, they'll change, and it's water under the bridge. But then sometimes you can talk to somebody about whatever was going on. They just basically brush off what you said and they continue on with what they're doing. Oh, I don't like to be spoken to like this. Oh, I don't like to be touched like that or whatever. And if you keep on doing it, they're not being respectful to you, and they most likely don't respect what you're trying to do as well. And what you're trying to do should be to be better, to expand, as I was saying. It's a choice at the end of the day. Some people are going to stay in their cozy spots. They're going to wonder why they feel stuck. And the reason is because they're not choosing to change their environment. Now, you can change your environment to any degree, to any regard. You can go to a new city like I did, a new state like I did. You can get out of where you were trapped. And when you do that, you need to give yourself a simple mindset that this is my island. I get to choose who's on it. And as long as you do the maintenance work, and of course, it has to happen when you're older, because of course you have to support yourself, number one, but then number two, you have to be able to discern people. Most people don't know snakes unless they're getting bit, right? And it's so funny because sometimes people talk about, I want to thank all of the people in my life who showed me that they were snakes. That when I cut the grass, I saw that you guys were just lying in wait to bite me, to hurt me. And it was in those moments that where they appreciated the fangs from their friends or from their ex-friends or whatever they were. So there's going to be something that we have to look at today, our environment. Is your environment lifting you up? Is it making you a better person? Or is it slowly whittling you away? Is it making you crazy? Is it making you insane? Is it making you angry or anxious? You tell me. Now, of course, if you need support, this is where we shine. Because to change your environment and to just say, I'm gone to everybody in your life can be a scary thing. But if you had someone in your corner who you can share your dreams with, who you can at least bounce your ideals off of, then it makes that journey so much easier to partake in. The only thing that is going to get in your way is if you want to be consistent and disciplined in that. Because your old self is always going to be calling. Your old self is always going to be trying to bring you back. That ice cream looks enticing, right? No gym days look enticing. No calls or no business meetings look enticing. But at the end of the day, if you do the work, you could be proud in the work that you have done versus not doing anything and just living with that regret. So move towards something instead of constantly resisting it. Change when change needs to be happening. This is something that we must get used to be intentional. Your environment is going to make you or break you. It's going to help you rise or it's going to bring you down to the lowest areas of your life. So you know what you have to do. You know, if you're a person who feels trapped or who feels small, who feels as if they have been conditioned to be this way, and you are a person, if you know it, that there is something else out there for you, that there's something more that you can do, that there's another day, that there's another try, that there's another ambition for you to fulfill. So become disciplined. Stop feeding the distractions, stop feeding the naysayers, stop feeding the people who are going to bring you down, and start building an environment that is going to cherish you and celebrate you and your successes, help you through your failures, and then be there for the good and the bad times along the way. Because it's not about who's there at the dinner table when it's time to eat. It's about who's in the kitchen cooking, making sure when it's time to eat, everyone is fed.